From the Center for Conscious Communication, this is Leading Life. Hi everyone, I'm Stacy Caruth, the founder of the Center for Conscious Communication, and this is Leading Life, a podcast spotlighting women business leaders who are making a difference, following their passion and challenging the status quo. Today, my guest is Anna Studer, owner and founder of ACS Juices. Thank you so much for being here, Anna.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. I'm so excited to talk to you about so many things. I spoke with you a while back and I was so inspired by the connections that you're making in the community and your want to give to the community. That reciprocity is so important. So I've just been really excited to have the opportunity to speak with you.
I appreciate it. I'm excited to share about my business and how amazing our community is.
Well, let's start prior to Juice and talk a little bit about your life prior to starting this business. I'd love to know.
Absolutely. So we moved here in 2017. My husband works in the oil industry, so like many people, a job transfer to Casper. But we lived in Billings, Montana. That's where I'm from, born and raised. And my background in education, my career was school counseling. I did that for 12 years at Elder Grove School in Billings and absolutely loved it. So then when we moved here, I still did school counseling for a year and loved it. I worked for Poison Spider School in Oregon Trail, had a great school year with them, and just absolutely loved that career. And then things just sort of took a little turn, and I decided to make a life and career change and start a juice business.
Very interesting. Has healthy living always been important to you? What made you decide juicing when there are so many businesses that you could choose?
Absolutely. So rewind back even further, in 2011, my youngest child was a year old, and that's when I started. I was like most new moms, I need to, get rid of this baby weight, be healthy, and more than that, just have energy and be active with them, because I had a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old at the time. So two things I started back then were running and juicing, and both of which I still do to this day and absolutely love. But the thing about juicing was I just found, wow, I can take this mountain of produce and put it in this amazing little machine, and I can drink it, and I can chase my toddlers and, have this cup in hand, if you will, and get all of that nutrition in my system. So that was just, the sell for me is, wow, I can just take this with me and it tastes good, and I can experiment with different recipes and feel good.
So in Billings, I guess I always assumed that you had a juice bar that you went to and bought juice, but it sounds like you were making your own juice from the beginning.
Yes, so there was a juice bar in Billings. Both Montana and Wyoming, juicing is very much a newer industry. It's not for our country as a whole, but definitely for Montana and Wyoming, it's still newer. But at the time when I lived in Billings, there was one, and I would go there as a treat, and I definitely loved it, and they made great juice. But yeah, I was juicing at home. I was, doing all my own prep work, and I loved the process of juicing as much as I did drinking it. So I found it to be a lot of fun to, stock up on all my supplies for the week, and kind of like meal prepping, but juicing. So I would get very excited about what was my plan for the week, and, I had fun little bottles, and so yeah, I was doing all my own juicing.
So did you do a juice as a replacement for a meal?
Yes and no, depending. I like a really strong veggie juice. So my strong green, for example, has a lot of veggies in it. So a juice like that could be a breakfast replacement. It's definitely not like a smoothie. It doesn't have the fiber. So in the beginning, when I was trying to cut calories and, I was running and, I just had my youngest baby, I was definitely trying to cut back on my meals. So you can do that. There's other juices that I would say are not enough calories. So just depends on the juice and the recipe.
So you like the strong greens,
Yes.
The more veggie juices.
That's my preference, yes, for sure.
So is that your favorite recipe, or did you have others that you really liked?
That's my original and favorite. I drink that one every day unless I'm sold out of it. But yes, I try to always make myself a stash of that one. I really love beet juices. I feel really good on beet juice. That's a strong second. I'm a big believer in celery juice every morning. That's really important for gut health. So yeah, the greens, beets, celery, those are my top picks.
So you walk your talk.
I try to.
You're drinking your juice.
Yes.
Glad to hear that. How did you originally learn about juicing then and then transition into this massive juicing?
Right, because juicing for yourself is very different than building a business out of juicing. Just very different. And anyone who's interested in juicing should absolutely buy a juicer and try it out. But to go from just your own home supply and juicing to mass quantities and it's still high quality and, all of that and just all the ins and outs of building a business is a big undertaking. But where I came with learning how to possibly build a business was I follow this juice business called ACS Juices. It's two sisters out of Findlay, Ohio, and they have this amazing juice bar, and it's a small little town. And a big part of their business, though, is that they consult and mentor other businesses. And they're just, very down to earth, and they just give you this picture that anyone can do it. And so I was like, wow. And when I started, it was 21, and so it was kind of a time of, we were all in, at home. It was during the pandemic, of course, and so like a lot of people, I was on YouTube more than usual, or just doing different things online, and ran across a YouTube video of theirs. I think I was looking up a new juice recipe for myself, and they popped up, and I was just instantly hooked and could not believe that, wow, opening a juice bar is a thing. And so it just kind of started from there, just watching them.
So you were inspired by JK Juicing,
Yes,
right? In
yes.
Ohio.
Yes.
Oh,
Two sisters, yeah.
I love to hear things like that.
Yes.
There is sometimes, and I think during the pandemic and just the opportunity to be online, I think there were so many opportunities for that, to see
Yep.
something that maybe we didn't see before and
Right.
be inspired and lead us down a different path in our life.
Absolutely. There was a lot of horrible things about the pandemic, but there was a lot of good. I started playing the banjo, something I always wanted to try, and started juicing more, and then this juice business idea came up.
Oh, I love that. The banjo. Something you've always wanted to do.
I always wanted to try it, yeah.
Well, I want to play the guitar, and I haven't yet done
should
it,
start.
so I'm very inspired by that.
I'm not good at it yet, but
Well, maybe someday we'll play together.
there you
go. Do you know how to sing?
I do like to sing.
You like to sing? Oh, good, because I'm not a very good
Okay.
singer. So we'll talk later.
Sounds good.
So, starting a business and being inspired by JK, the Juice Sisters, is a good first start.
Right.
And there's a lot more to starting a business. So I'd love to know how that went for you, the learning curve.
Absolutely. I've always worked, and as I said before, I was a school counselor for a long time. But this is definitely the hardest job I've ever had, and the one I've loved the most. I absolutely love school counseling with all my heart. Very difficult job. Owning a business and what it takes is very different and very difficult. But it's all about learning and asking for help. And work. It's, you show up, you work, you come back and you do it the next day, and it's long hours, and you just realize from the start, if I really want this to work, I have to put in the time, I have to put in the learning, I have to get uncomfortable, do things like I'm doing tonight, and, talk to people that I can learn from, and, just a lot of learning, a lot of hard work. I was in the Casper Startup Challenge, and that was a huge help. I did a boot camp with them. I did the pitch night, just met a lot of people through that. John and Eric with Impact 307 have been extremely helpful, but it's just work and learning.
Wow. Can you say a little bit about, you named 3 different things that really helped you. I'd love to know a little bit more about what's available in Casper
Yes.
that would help people get started if
Sure.
they're interested.
So Impact 307 is a business incubator. They provide free resources, mentoring, all sorts of tools. I probably didn't even utilize all the things that they offer, but their goal here in town is to help small business and help them grow. And the Casper Startup Challenge is sponsored I believe I'm saying this correctly, it's sponsored by Impact 307. It's like a Shark Tank challenge where you pitch your business. So it starts with an application process. And I think for me, and this was last March, it's been a while, so I'm trying to remember, but I think it started out with 25 applicants and then went to 10. And then I think we were 5 on pitch night, maybe. I might have those numbers off, but so then there's 3 that win, or I'm probably messing up the numbers, but it's like a competition. But the great thing about it is you spend 6 weeks preparing a presentation, and in that time you really dig deep on explaining your business to someone else, which is where I think a lot of learning happens, is when you can talk about and teach others about what you're doing. You really learn, okay, what do I do in this part, or what is working, and you get to analyze yourself and what you're doing, and you're trying to sell it and tell everyone what you're doing and why it's wonderful and they should choose you. So it was just such an unbelievable process of learning and growth and speaking and explaining my business.
Wow, I love that. I know it's been described to me that describing your business is like being inside the bottle and reading the label. Yes. You're right there, you know what you do, but trying to tell other people about it is such a challenge. So I can see that would be such a benefit. Right.
And I think going back to the work and the learning and the hours spent, I think I can never explain enough what it means to me and how, like what I think about cold pressed juice and how it's made. And it's just hard to even convey it. If you're really passionate about it, you could go on and on and on. But I think with my product and my business, when people experience it, that's the best time when I can talk to them and see what they think about it, how it tastes, watch them or have them watch me make it sometimes and see my big, huge machine pressing it. That's, where a lot of time of explaining can happen. So that's really fun.
Yeah, I can so see that, because when I first learned about you, I was stopping at your home picking up juice, and since
back
then,
in the basement days.
Yes, you've moved to a location where I can actually see you make the juice. But I was so curious when I would go to your home, and of course I didn't want to say, "Can I go see
right.
juicing machine in your house?"
I would have let you.
Well, I appreciate it, and it was such a treat to be able to actually see it, because just from juicing myself, it's a process in a little juicer, and it takes a lot of time. So I was having a really hard time wrapping my head around how you could produce that much juice in a short amount of time.
Right. Yes.
Not that it doesn't take time.
Right.
I mean, it still certainly
takes. It's the machines. So I have huge commercial equipment. I use what's called Good Nature. It's a family-owned and operated business out of Buffalo, New York. They've been in business over 30 years. So that was a huge part of my business, is what juicer I would select. And that goes back to JK Juices. And, they have a lot of experience with Good Nature. And so that was the company I went with. But I have 3 juicers. My largest one is 400 some pounds, and it can produce hundreds of bottles of juice. And it's the same type of juicer you'd find in like a Whole Foods store. So it's heavy duty. It's amazing. So,
well, and if I have this, please tell me if I'm wrong about this. I think the importance then of cold press juicing is that your juice lasts longer. Is that right?
Yes. Yep. So a few things. Yep. Shelf life for sure. It can last longer, 4 to 5 days. I mark mine with a 5-day shelf life. Juice that is made on a home juicer is usually what's called a centrifugal juicer or a masticating style. Still great. That's what I did forever, and I still have one at home. I have a couple. I'll probably never get rid of them, because just in case. But that style is just a little bit different. So it's using a fast spinning motion, and usually the pulp or the juice is being pushed through a metal strainer or like a grate, like a cheese grater looking thing. With that fast spinning and that metal grate, there's a lot of heat being produced. Heat can kill the enzymes and all the nutrients within the juice. So with cold press, there's minimal heat during the grinding because it's done very slowly, and it's being pushed through a filter bag and a hydraulic press. So 2 things about cold pressed juice. The great thing is it's going very slowly and it's keeping all those nutrients, and the tough thing is it's going very slowly. So that's also part of my business design, is that I bottle my juice. A lot of times people come in and they want me to make them a juice right, as they're there. And that's just not my business model. I press in large batches and bottle it. And the reason being, cold press takes a very long time, even with my big heavy duty machines. And that's purposeful. It's intentional. So it's slow. It's not producing heat. It's not killing all those great nutrients. So cold pressing takes longer, but it's higher quality and it's giving you more nutrition per glass.
Mm-hmm. Lots of thought that goes into all of this.
Yes.
And lots of love, I
Definitely.
think, as well. Tell me a little bit about where you're located right now, because that's part of an incubator. Am I saying that right?
Or food hall, yep.
Okay.
So yes, it's the Wyoming Food for Thought building. They own it. So they do their operation out of there. They provide food bags for kids and families. They have community gardens around town, and they sell produce right at our location. Homemade salsas. Chef Maggie King is amazing. She does all of the cooking for these meals for our community. Jamie Purcell is the director, and what they've created is this space. This is a temporary space for them because they're building their new space on the north side of Casper. But this space at 420 West 1st Street is meant to be a food hall. So I'm there as an anchor tenant, and True Bakery is another tenant. They're looking to bring a few more in. And then another part of their building, in the commercial kitchens, they have food trucks that rent time to use their kitchen. And they come and go and run their business out of there as well. So they're providing this great service to our community by providing all of this food, but they're also helping small businesses like myself. This is my starting place. I would not have a location if it weren't for them. So it's just a great thing for everyone, I think.
A jumping off point, it sounds like, huh?
Yes, for sure.
And then in their new location, not to get off on all of that, but in their new location, they'll offer that as well. Is that true?
No, I don't think so. I think that's just specific to this location. I could be wrong, but I believe this location just offered that opportunity because there is a kitchen in it and the bar set up. And so that was how they are being creative with their space, I think, until they go into the new space.
It sounds like a lot of things have just lined up for you.
Very much. I'm very grateful. God's been good to me.
Yeah. It was like it was meant to be.
Yes.
I always love those things. So what's been your greatest challenge in running a business then?
Oh, there's so many. Greatest challenge, I think, is just overcoming self-doubt and that whether it will work or not. There's many very obvious challenges, such as like running numbers and financials and just, kind of the day-to-day, like obvious ones. Will this make money? How do I run all my costs? How do I make this work and financially survive? But I think the biggest thing is just overcoming thinking that it won't work and just, being negative in my own head, because that's huge. And especially for me, and I think other small startups could probably relate. If you've never done this before, you have no idea. And it's very much a self-taught situation that I'm in, which is both great and very difficult at the same time. But with that, when you're having to learn a whole new second career, I'm 42. This wasn't really the plan. It's amazing, but I'm in a season of learning. And so with that, there's going to be, mistakes and failures and, oh gosh, I wish I hadn't done it that way. And for whatever reason, human nature, we just can tend to focus on those negative spots too much. So I think that challenge of just pushing through the negativity in my mind, or, it can be external comments, but it's just realizing that it is working. Keep pushing, keep trying, keep showing up. You are enjoying it. Today was just hard. This was just one day, that sort of thing. But for every negative situation, there's probably 5 to 10 great things that I can think of, and I just need to focus on those more.
Yeah, so really managing your mind and
Yes.
coming back to the positive and the things that you're grateful for,
Yes.
and not going down the rabbit hole of fear.
Right.
It sounds like.
Yeah. Because it's a new experience, and so I think it's not just about business. It's just anytime we try something new, or anytime we want to do well at something, it's easy to be extra hard on ourselves and possibly quit, which I'm not going to quit, but it sure pops up in my mind a lot. So
I know I have a card that sits on my desk that just says, keep going, keep going, keep
Yep.
going.
Yes, yep.
So-
My mind, it's don't quit. Same thing. I do that driving home a lot, like when I'm exhausted after a 15-hour day of juicing, and So, but I do love it. But challenges, it's those days where it's, I didn't see my kids tonight, and I'll make up for it tomorrow. But small businesses, there's sacrifice and there's a lot of time, and you have to weigh it all. And I mean, that's being a mother anyways too. It's just deciding that it's worth it and keep showing up.
Yeah, having kids as well. I think that's a real theme that I've seen as well, just in talking with women business owners, trying to manage our kids and make sure that they know that they're loved and that we're doing this, and to also be an example to our kids of this is possible too.
Yes, yeah. My kids are so proud of me, so that's been really great. I get emotional talking about my kids.
I understand.
But they both worked in the juice bar yesterday, and they are so funny. They're like, is this a split shift? Because one had school and one didn't. So my daughter was there in the morning, and she did all the labeling because it was my big Thanksgiving order. So she had her job, and then he's like, well, what did she get done when she was here this morning? And I'm like, you just worry about your shift. So I'm like, yeah, this sounds like a split shift. You're worrying about what the AM shift did. And so, but yeah, so he came in after school, and, it was crunch time because it was such a big order. And, but no, it's one day it's like, oh my gosh, I didn't make it to the basketball game. But then it's the next day, like, he wrote a note on my board, like, so proud of you. And, do you have any juice left for us to take to school? It's just little things, but, I know they are very proud. And it's especially my daughter, showing her that you can go to college for one thing and you can have this great career that you love, but then you can change your mind. You can be 41 or whatever when I started and decide, you know what, I'm going to do something totally different, and you can make it work. So I think that's a big thing too, is to my son also, but just I think, especially as a female, I want her to know that change your mind at any point. Make good choices and how you get there, think it through, but you can make your choice at any time.
Yeah, don't let fear hold you back, too, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and it's one thing to say it, and it's something else to walk your talk, to really do it and show her this is possible. We can all do this.
Yes. And on that note, we moved here 2017, but I didn't start this till 2021. And it was very hard to move here. I didn't want to leave my job. I didn't want to leave my family. And I'm doing great now. I love Casper, but it was a big, huge transition, and it was a sad and lonely time for me. And one thing that I jokingly said to my husband when I was having a moment, I was like, there's not even a juice bar here, and I'm crying. And he's like, so open one. And so I talk about that a lot. And he's like, yeah, and you did it. And I was like, remember when you told me to open a juice bar? So yeah, but it took me, 4 years to go for it and try it and see what happened. And it was a simple is probably not the word, but the way I started was I just went to a market with a small amount of juices just to see what would happen, and it worked out.
Well, from the consumer side of that, my daughter said, oh my gosh, Mom, you have to go to the farmer's market. Aww. There's somebody there with juice. This is so exciting.
She's probably one of my first customers.
I said, I am on my way.
Yes, and you're one of my first front porch customers for sure. So
I love that.
Yeah, well, amazing.
So excited because we're always looking for healthy alternatives.
Right.
And we're definitely getting more of those in Casper, and I'm so grateful of that.
Right.
And so grateful to you.
No, thank you.
Yeah. As much as I love making juice, I much prefer to buy it from you.
Yeah. Take a break sometimes. Let me do the work.
Yes, absolutely. Especially on those juice cleanses. That's a lot of juice.
That is
a
lot of juice, yeah.
What are the turning points in your business that supported your growth? Is there something where, you kind of had this fork in the road and you chose this way and not that way? I'm hearing things with Impact 307 and some of those things that have come your way,
Right.
but is there anything else that you wanted to mention?
Well, definitely the Startup Challenge. That was a huge turning point because I learned a lot, and it was just such a great building experience as far as like networking with the community, learning. Really, I think that was kind of a pivotal moment in like, do I want to get real serious about this? Do I want to just keep doing it on my basement? I think that was a turning point. For sure. Then also the day that Maggie King messaged me and she's like, you need to come be a tenant in this food hall. That was huge. I wouldn't be commercial if it weren't for her, and I highly respect her, and I think she's an amazing chef and person, more importantly. And so with her invitation, that was a huge start to being a commercial juice bar. There's just, I don't know what else really, except just customer support has just been so consistent and just so amazing. And, I keep going back to the self-doubt and all the negative stuff. I keep thinking, okay, at some point, is everyone going to be done and tired of this? And everyone just keeps showing up and wants more juice. And, everyone's just, I feel like our community is just rooting me on. And so it's really all about the customers. There's been business people and mentors and, very important people along the way, but my customer base, like people like you that were fine picking up juice off my front porch, twice a month or whatever. Actually, you were a monthly subscriber for a while. I know that. So, that's everything. If it weren't, I wouldn't have a business if it weren't for my customers. So that's huge.
Tell me a little bit. I know you're selling juice or you're stocking juice in Grant Street
right
now as well. So
yes.
Tell me a little bit about where you're headed and what your future plans are and goals.
So Grant Street I should have said that's another pivotal moment is as soon as I became commercial, because obviously operating out of my basement, I was, I could only sell direct to customers. But once I had a commercial space, that opened up a whole new world of, well, I wonder if this place would want to stock my juice. And the number one first place that I thought of was Grant Street. Like, that was like, oh my gosh, what if Grant Street would want my juice? And it was just like, that would be amazing, because they're an elite market. They're just, they sell just such great stuff. And I think the community loves Grant Street. And I just thought my product being there would be the ultimate thing. So, Grant Street sells my juices. I usually do 2 deliveries a week there, and that's been an amazing partnership. Lindsay and all of her staff are just such great people, and they've been so kind and supportive, and they're always excited to see me bring more juice, so that's just very kind. Community partnerships like that are amazing. That's definitely next steps. The gym that I work out at is called Empowered Hustle and Fitness, and I have a fridge there. Ashley Bennett's the owner, and just another amazing person and someone I really respect and admire, and a customer. And she was like, absolutely, you should have a fridge here. So she's been just amazing. And then I was at Fresh Foods for a while with Leanne Miller and Eat Wyoming, and she excuse me, when I have an order for Sheridan, she delivers the juices for me. So Crossy Freedom Foods in Sheridan has had juices a few times, and I'd like to keep that going, because definitely a goal is to have juices in certain locations all over the state. I know I'm not the only juice bar, but I'd like to have my juice all over Wyoming. We're such a rural state, and people message me from small towns all the time, and where's the nearest place I can get your juice? Or I haven't quite gotten to shipping yet. That's a big challenge. But maybe at some point, my product's just so perishable that's a huge challenge, and shipping's very expensive. So I just haven't quite gotten there yet. But, maybe having more markets around the state would be a next step for sure. But partnerships like Grant Street and Empowered Hustle, and there's a few others that I'm talking to in town that are very exciting. And I want to be partnered with amazing businesses that I admire. I want my product associated with these amazing businesses, because I think there's no greater association than someone that has an amazing business would have interest in my product. So that's what I'm trying to do, is just see who would be interested, partner, and all the while learn from them. That's partner with them, but learn all the great things they're doing, and everyone's just so kind and wants to help a little small business like me grow and make it. So that's just amazing to experience.
Yeah, there's something about the network that is so important, that reciprocity.
Absolutely. Yep.
So on that note, I'd love for you to say just a few things, if you would, just to wrap it up, about Olivia Caldwell Foundation.
Absolutely. So another thing that I spend my time doing is I'm a board member for the Olivia Caldwell Foundation, and it's a nonprofit organization working to fight pediatric cancer. It was started 9 years ago, and it's named Olivia Caldwell in honor of our director's daughter, who sadly lost her battle to cancer. And so what we do as a board and an organization is We provide a clinic space in our town for our families so they don't have to go to Denver and back. We have a rotating specialist clinic, and then we also provide money for research, and we have, and we partner with Denver Children's Hospital, I forgot to say that. And then we have a patient advocate program that helps connect our families to services and gives them the tools they need or connections to help, whether it be food, housing, appointment help, finding out what the next clinic specialist will be. So that's just really a big part of my heart, is giving back to them. And I just think that anything we can do to help people right in our community, especially kids that are in the toughest time of their life, it's very important.
Absolutely. Well, that was something that I didn't know about you, and I was so happy to hear. And I think it's so important for other people in our community to know that that's happening.
Right.
So I'm really glad for you to share a little bit about that and let more people know.
Yes.
And I am so glad for you to join me today. Thank you so much for sharing your journey. I think it is inspiring. It inspires me, certainly. And I love that. Just keep going. We definitely need these healthy, nutritious drinks and all the good things going on in our lives. And I appreciate your being part of it and helping us all stay healthier.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for listening to Leading Life, a production by the Center for Conscious Communication, hosted by me, Stacy Carruth. I'd like to thank Ty Pierce for his artwork and technical guidance. If you haven't already, make sure to follow Leading Life on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify. And if you enjoy the show, leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Thanks for listening, and catch you again next time.